Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mic rolls on a busy Wednesday morning. Kindred's Riley Sunram will join us coming up in about a half hour after winning 2 more state championships last week at the state track meet. Now it's off to Gopher football. We'll do that here in just a little bit. But tomorrow, the College World Series gets underway in Oklahoma City. 8 teams are there. I say it every year. Despite even the fact with our next guest coming up, it's one of my favorite events to watch. It's guaranteed to be some high drama. And the teams that made it this year, if you watched any of it over the weekend, you were thoroughly entertained. Some teams that are making it for the first time. Others are back, including Alabama is there again. They did it the hard way after kind of slogging to the end of the regular season. They won their regional, then had to go to Tennessee, won the super regional, which means we get... Now, I don't think it's a yearly appearance here with the Duchscherer family. Kelly and Brian join us, of course, Abby's mom and dad, literally telling me I'm holding up their travel plans because they're heading to Oklahoma City when we get done this morning. It's great to see you guys. Congratulations. Is this just now you write it in pen on the calendar that OKC, we're heading down there?
I don't think I would have planned this year for this team to make it down there, to be honest. But they rallied at the right time of the year and finished where they wanted to be. So it's pretty exciting for them.
Kelly, tell me the emotions on Sunday, especially the rain delay, everything and on the road. What was that experience like on Sunday?
Well, honestly, Brian went down there and I stayed back. I had gone to regions. Brian went to super regions. We had some family in town. I mean, we do have some responsibilities once in a while from January to June, but I felt so bad. He was down there and because of the rain delay and stuff, he had to take off because he had a flight to catch.
Oh.
But we watched it. I watched it from home and that when Riley Valentine hit that grand slam in the first inning, I kind of had a feeling this might be it because we've got 2 very solid pitchers. We've got great solid pitchers all the way around, but 2 that are very solid with very, very minimal ERAs that I thought, I think these girls can probably hold them down and we might have a shot at this. So
Abby told me last week that the football team and I believe the basketball or somebody else had smoked cigars when they beat Tennessee. Did they end up doing that? Did we get confirmation? Did they do that when they beat Tennessee?
They did.
They did. And I think that was actually Abby's idea at regionals. I think she asked Coach Murphy, hey, when we win this, will you let us pull the cigars out? And he goes, heck yeah, let's do it. So yeah, that's a little payback for Tennessee. They weren't too happy about that.
I bet they weren't. That memories are long in the SEC.
Yeah.
So how does this experience differ from last year? Last year, I remember we had you guys on, and it was just the newness of it. She's playing, and I want to talk about her season in a second, but how is this year different compared to last year for you?
It was season-wise, last year we did a little bit better during the season, I think. We got to the end and we got a really great draw. So we thought, all right, we might have a chance at this. This year they struggled. We only won, I think, 1 series. We never got swept. Alabama never got swept, but they didn't have the best SEC season. Then we got to the end and it gets a lot tougher. Regions was tough, but they made it through. Clemson was supposed to take that region and they ended up losing out. And then we knew we had to hit Tennessee, and Tennessee's tough. They were ranked 3rd in the nation. They got some of the best players in the world. And man, we beat them. We thought, holy buckets, we might be able to beat anybody now. So it was an amazing feeling for sure this year because they really earned it. They really worked for it.
Brian, for you, what will you take out of this trip back to Oklahoma City than last year? Anything different, emotions different do you think about for when this thing starts tomorrow?
Yeah, I think I was just telling Kelly, to go once last year was really cool. To get to go twice for Abby and for us, how lucky we are to be able to experience being in the top 8 programs in the country, the last 8 standing. So I think for me, just realizing that this is not easy, and no matter how you get there, and because you may never get the opportunity again. So we're going to soak it all in.
Well, 2 for 2. I mean, this is a pretty good start. I mean, right? Can't ask for anything better than that.
That's pretty good. pretty good.
Abby told us last week that you guys actually had a breakdown and you bought a camper because your son is obviously still playing. And he told me he's got another year of eligibility. He's still playing baseball in Nashville. Give us the breakdown of the camper. What do you got, and how reliable has it been?
Well, I tell you, like, flying back and forth on Allegiant's been great, but it gets expensive, and then hotels and rental cars. So we finally just said enough. We bought a camper out there, and we drug our 3 dogs with and drove a couple vehicles so we could divide and conquer out of the Coleman campground. So it worked out really well. We spent about almost 2 months there, and
Wow.
Trenton was 2.5 hours north. Abby was 2 hours south. It just worked out really well.
Kelly, did you ever think you'd be camper people?
You know, a long time ago when we moved out west, ironically, which this is kind of how this whole thing started. When we moved out west for a couple years, about 4 years when we were younger, and out west they play a lot of softball, a lot of baseball, and that's where actually the kids got all of their starts. I mean, it's really truly where they started, and we lived in a camper just for a couple months while we were building a house out there, and I never in a million years thought we'd go back to it, and God darn it if we didn't.
Yeah.
If we didn't.
No, we vowed to never own a
Yep,
camper again
never
after that
again.
experience, but
And,
here we are.
you know,
It's for sale. I got it for sale in the driveway, Dom, if anybody's looking. So
Now, I got you guys in a rare moment when you're back home. How often have you been actually at home over the last 4 months?
a lot less than we've been on the road.
Okay.
Put it that way.
yeah.
A lot less than we've been on the road. So it's been very minimal. Thankfully, my parents don't live too far. They help us with a few things here and there. And
Nice.
yeah, so we've been gone a lot.
Now, I had her on last week, and I said to her, like, I'm pretty sure I hear a Southern accent. Tell me about that and how have you guys, I'm sure you've noticed it. I had a couple of viewers say, it sounds like she has a Southern accent now.
Yeah, she picked up on it pretty quick. It's pretty hard not to when
Right.
you're down there and it's y'all. And she gets made fun of a lot because of her northern accent, but her brother absolutely refuses to pick up any accent whatsoever. He doesn't care for it, but Abby embraces it, and she's taking it on. And yeah, she's got a little bit of drawl in there for sure. She loves it down there. She loves it so.
Brian, she visited with us last week about what she did this offseason at the ball yard with Mike Scogan. How much did that jumpstart her to what you saw when the season began?
Well, again, thanks, Mike, for allowing her to go in there and work out and utilize those resources. And then she actually hooked up with Christian, one of the other trainers that was there. He played for the Red Hawks, and I think he's now the bullpen catcher for the Brewers. Great kid, great young man. So she had a couple of the trainers take her under her wing and say, hey, we can really help you out. And she just she loved it, and she went all in, and she still talks to him, I think weekly after games and to get feedback. So to have those resources locally was instrumental for her to go into the winter or the spring season.
When you start seeing this for either one of you, where she's just hitting home runs left and right, she's driving the ball all over the place. I mean, just what was that like to see? You guys got to be over the moon when that started happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Abby, I think, said last week, she put the time in, and then, finally, we put the time in, good things happen. And so she started off the season, the first 6 weeks of the year, she was killing it. Couldn't be more proud of her. Then the season gets tougher. You see better pitching, and she kind of hit a little bit of a slump towards the end here. But, that's a nice thing about her team. Other kids step up. So, so it's, we're happy that she's not satisfied by any means. She'll come back this summer and she'll work twice as hard.
Kelly, she mentioned that you talked to her about the bat flip against Arizona. Can you give us the other end of that conversation?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you asked. So, ironically, the day before, I had been in Tennessee watching my son's game, and one of his teammates did a bat flip. It was his second home run of the game, and he did a bat flip, and they kicked him from the game.
Oh, no kidding.
And when you get kicked for the next game too.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I go then all the way to Alabama the next day, and she does this bat flip, and I told her after the game, "You got to be careful." I said, "Ian just got kicked yesterday from the game because he did a bat flip," and I said, "So she's like." She's pretty confident in herself. So I don't know. Sometimes the rules are a little different between the men and the women and the different divisions and whatnot. But yeah, we don't need any of that action going on just in case something were to happen. So
how have you felt? This either one of you can answer or both on her. She's been in the spotlight since the 7th grade. It doesn't seem like anything has phased her even now. Can you describe that of just this? It seems like old hat. She's been doing this for the better part of 7-8 years now.
Yeah, I mean, we just, I guess what we work with her is to stay humble. There's big rivals in the SEC. Obviously, Tennessee is one of them, Auburn, LSU. But, we've always taught Abby it didn't matter even at Kindred if they were playing Castleton or if, they were playing Mapleton. You always treat that game as a championship game. You always practice hard because you're gonna play like you practice. You always keep your nose down and you work hard and stay humble and just pull that through all the way. And it seems to be working for her because she's got a really good work ethic, works hard, knows that it will pay off. And but yeah, she's just been kind of that same steady Eddie all these years, and it seems to be working for her.
Brian, did she get a sense of how big of a role model she is? I think she understands that. How do you guys get a sense of that? Even, I know you're infrequently in Kindred, but how big a deal she is to everybody still in North Dakota, not just your hometown?
I think this, when she did the camp at the ball yard, the camps here, I think she really felt it then because she had record numbers. She had 3 camps. They were all sold out. I think there was almost 100 kids per camp, and her goal has been all along just, to grow the game. So I think seeing that was pretty powerful for her, that, hey, I am a role model. Even though I don't, live here anymore, people don't see me very often, they're still watching. So I think that's pretty cool, and she'll continue to do that here as long as she can.
All right, couple last things before we let you guys go. So tomorrow, do you guys sit by one another? I know some parents can't. Do you guys sit next to one another? Do you talk to one another? How does that work in the stands tomorrow?
Yeah, we sit by each other. I think we've learned finally after all these years that any screaming and yelling doesn't really do us any good. They don't hear us. It doesn't matter. So we'll let the other folks cheer. There's one thing I'll give the Southern folks credit for. They make us look, I don't know, that, man, they can cheer, and they can get on the umps a lot more than anybody up here can.
They can make you blush.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So we'll let them take care of the yelling and screaming, and we just sit back and watch.
Brian, it's the first game tomorrow, 11 o'clock. Good thing, bad thing, no thing. It's right out of the chute. You guys are the first game tomorrow.
I think this team's pretty dangerous right now. I mean, obviously, they weren't expected to be here. UCLA has been peaking the last few weeks. They're playing great softball. So, you play. That's why you play the game. You just never know how that ball is going to bounce. You never know how how the bats are going to come out. So, right now I say it's anybody's. So go out there and just play your hearts out, and good things happen.
All right. I don't want to hold you guys up anymore. I know you got a long trip. Thanks so much for doing this. It's great to see you. Safe travels, and enjoy I hope you're there for as long as possible. Okay.
That's true.
All right, Dom.
Thank you, Dom.
Thanks for having us as always.
Great to see you guys. Kelly and Brian Duchscherer joining us from Kindred, North Dakota. They are on their way, literally as they hang up the Zoom, to Oklahoma City for the College World Series, which begins tomorrow. Alabama plays the first game out of the chute. They play UCLA tomorrow. That game's at 11 a.m. On ESPN. Duke and Oklahoma is the other side of their bracket. This is the second half. Remember, there are 8 total teams and divided into 2 separate brackets. If Alabama wins, they will play on WDAY on Saturday afternoon. If they lose, they got to come back and play Friday night on ESPN. And I know I had people asking me about, why is she not playing as much? She's hit a bit of a slump. Still pinch hitting at times, but we'll see if she's going to get into the lineup for the game tomorrow with UCLA. That was great stuff. Thanks to Kelly and Brian for joining us. We'll break. We come back. We got to wrap up hour one. Another Kindred standout. Riley Sunram will join us coming up at 10 o'clock about a record-setting performance at the state track meet last week in Bismarck. We roll on a busy Wednesday. We're back after this.